At the time of filming this video, I'm in the best shape of my life at 39 years old. But if I could go back and talk to my overweight self and give her some advice on how to lose the weight faster, this is exactly what I would tell her. Truth number one, nobody knows what the fuck this thing is. And it's the foundation of how we burn calories. If your goal is weight loss, calories always drive the show. And this is the TDEE Pyramid. Total daily energy expenditure. And this is basically how our bodies burn calories daily. What if I told you that 70% of your daily calorie burn comes from you just fucking existing, eating, sleeping, breathing? This is your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, which is directly tied to your metabolism. And pro tip, this is why it's so crucial that we create a metabolism that is on mother effing fire. It is the biggest driver when it comes to fat loss. On top of your BMR, we have your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This accounts for about 20% of your daily calorie burn. Think of everything that you're doing outside of the gym: walking the dog, cleaning the house, fidgeting. On top of your NEAT, we have our TEF, which is our thermic effect of food. Our bodies burn calories just digesting our food intake. About 5% of our daily calorie burn comes from our TEF. Another pro tip, it takes our body more energy and effort to digest protein and whole food sources, meaning you're burning more calories eating these items. And last but not least, we have your EAT, which is your exercise activity thermogenesis, which accounts for about 5% of your daily calorie burn. This is everything that you're doing inside of the gym. So what did my younger self do? And the trap that I see the majority of females who come to me for help fall into? I put all of my energy and all of my eggs into the 1 hour a day that I was working out, and no energy and no effort into the other 23 hours of the day. So I would basically kill myself in my workouts and then sit on my ass for the rest of the day, not prioritizing movement outside of the gym. I also, thanks to toxic diet culture and playing victim to that for 33 years of my life, did not do the things I needed to do to increase my BMR, to create a metabolism that was on motherfucking fire, which left me stuck, frustrated, and really fucking confused. But don't worry, I got you, because every single hard truth we're about to cover today is gonna put you in the driver's seat to increase your metabolism. Which leads me to brutal truth number two. If you wanna look good, lift fucking weights. You're never gonna diet and treadmill your way to your dream body. It's just not going to happen, but you're spending hours a week in the gym. You're busting your ass to end up looking like a melted freaking candlestick. If you're gonna pour all of this energy and all of this effort into the damn thing, it's a fair statement to say that you want the ROI in return. Lifting heavy shit multiple times a week and putting it back down is a non-freaking negotiable if the goal is a toned bangin' bod that you feel damn good and naked. I need you following a properly built strength training program focused on progressive overload. Make sure to incorporate your compound movements, your squats, your deads, your presses. Track your training to ensure that you're getting stronger. You can come back and thank me later. Which leads me to brutal truth number three. If your goal is fat loss, however you want to slice it and dice it, calories always drive the show. You're doing everything right, cutting carbs, eating clean, working out, and it's frustrating as fuck because you're not seeing any results. Your weight stays the same. Why? Because you're not in a calorie deficit. You can eat clean, eat healthy all day long, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you won't lose body fat. Weight loss comes down to basic elementary school math. We have to be burning more calories than what we're consuming. Track your intake. I know it's annoying, but do it for a few weeks and you'll see what I mean. Calories always drive the show, and they're ruthless. Which leads me to brutal truth number four, and I will continue to drive this in. If you're not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. Now, are there certain things at play? Hormones that aren't being optimized, insulin resistance, PCOS, autoimmune diseases that can make achieving a calorie deficit really challenging? Yes. And if we don't get down to the root cause of these issues, it's gonna make achieving a calorie deficit really freaking challenging. Calories are not all that matter, but they always fucking matter. And that's why it is so crucial that if you're struggling to lose weight, that we get down to the root cause of what's really going on. Which leads me to brutal truth number five. And I don't care what your favorite fitness influencer tries to convince you of, but there is no perfect macro split. Everyone's obsessed with the perfect macro split. High carb, low carb, keto, paleo. Let's be honest, you've tried them all. But here's the thing, there's no one perfect macro split that's gonna fix everything for you. Your fat loss success comes down to three numbers. Overall calorie intake, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Overall protein intake, you need to be consuming enough protein to sustain and maintain muscle mass as you lose body fat. And overall fiber intake, because I promise, if it's not moving, you're absolutely not losing. This is going to give you flexibility and freedom, which is going to lead to lifestyle instead of hyper fixating focusing on hitting every single macro down to the gram. Which leads me to brutal truth number 6. Protein is a non-fucking negotiable. Please stop treating it as if it's anything but that. The amount of women I see struggle with this mentality of, I think I might-ish kind of if I want to hit my protein goals today, and wonder why they struggle is astronomically high. Eating enough protein is the only way you're going to sustain and maintain your muscle mass while we try to lose body fat. It keeps your belly happy and satiated, it eliminates cravings, and it makes adhering to your calorie deficit so much easier. Protein amounts: 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. The leaner you are, the closer to the full gram you need to be. If you have more than 50 pounds to lose, 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of realistic goal weight. So if you're 150 pounds, you're gonna aim for 105 to 150 grams of protein every single day. Which leads me to brutal truth number 7. Optimal, not normal, optimal hormones drive our success. And there is no better way to optimize hormones than lifestyle. And I'm particularly talking to my babes going through menopause, peri, full-blown, and post. What most coaches and even doctors don't understand is that menopause acts and mimics a lot of the same symptoms as an autoimmune disease. A functional approach has to be taken here to optimize hormones, fueling your body correctly to support metabolic and hormonal functions, strength training, mindful movement, sleep, rest, recovery. All of those things really matter. And while lifestyle is crucial to optimal hormone health, menopause is hormone deficiency. At some point, ladies, we stop producing these key hormones. And if you want to look and feel as good as you did in your 20s and 30s, you need to have the hormones that you had in your 20s and 30s. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is a game changer, and I've added a hormone optimization team to my team for this very reason. Which leads me to brutal truth number 8. There is no magic at all whatsoever to fasting outside of the calorie deficit that it puts you in. And I know so many of you view fasting as the magical solution to your weight loss problems. And sure, will fasting work if you're in a calorie deficit? Yeah, it will, but also a calorie deficit works without fasting. Here's my struggle with fasting coming from somebody who's tried it multiple different times, also having helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women out of the fasting rut. Every single one of them have the same exact story. What starts in a 16-8 eating window ends up with them eating 1 meal a day. Why? Because the scale stops moving. And every single time the scale stops moving, they reduce their eating window even more. And my challenge here is, where do you go after 1 meal? You just gonna eat like every other day kind of concept? And let's call out the other elephant in the room. The majority of you can't eat enough protein in a normal eating window, let alone a restricted one. And I can assure you, if you're not eating enough protein and you're in a calorie deficit, you're losing muscle mass, which is taking you in the ass backwards direction of your goals. I can promise you, fasting Felicia doesn't come and sprinkle her fairy fasting dust on you, and you only eat within these magical windows and you biohack your way into being a fat burning machine. It doesn't work that way. Which leads me to brutal truth number 9. Tracking isn't obsessive. It's the way that you view tracking that's obsessive. But here's the deal. Tracking your calories is no different than budgeting your bank account. You wouldn't just guess at your finances, so why are you guessing at your nutrition? We can't manage what we can't measure. And I truly believe that we track for the short term, so we do not have to track for the long term. I don't want any of you attached to a food scale or a tracking app for the rest of your life. That is not a lifestyle. That is a motherfucking prison sentence. But if you have very specific goals, fat loss being one of them, accuracy and consistency is going to drive our success. Which leads me to hard truth number 10. The body you want weighs a fuck ton more than you think that it does. Stop obsessing over the scale. I have seen the obsessive chokehold that the scale has on females quite literally halt them from building their dream bodies. You're not chasing a number, you're chasing a look. And I can tell you right now, coming from somebody who's been 100 pounds overweight and also somebody who's been absolutely shredded, the leaner you become, the more strategy that is required. Which leads me to brutal truth number 11. For the love of God, it is 2024. Can we please give up this whole good food versus bad food mentality? Are there foods that fuel us differently? Yes, absolutely. And 80+% of your day needs to come from single ingredient whole food sources. But when that's the case, you have the flexibility and freedom to fit in the fun foods, the soul foods, as we call them on my team. Food doesn't have morals. It's not judging you, but I can assure you, labeling foods is leading to your binging. Instead of demonizing foods, think about how they fit into your overall diet. It's the only way it will ever be sustainable for you. Sure, some foods are more nutrient dense and some foods are more calorically dense, but that doesn't make it good or bad. But you do need to understand how to fuel your body. 80% whole foods, giving it what it needs, and combining that with 20% whole foods, giving it what you love. Because I can assure you, I don't want to know a life without cookies or an occasional glass of wine. You shouldn't either. Which leads me to brutal truth number 12. Intuitive eating is earned. It's not given. Intuitive eating is the goal for every single one of my clients, but you cannot expect somebody who's never tracked a day in their life to intuitively eat and think that that's going to work out well for them. Intuitive eating only comes after you've mastered the basics from tracking. What does 6 ounces of chicken look like? What does a serving size of nut butter really look like? What does it look like and feel like to hit my calories for the day? Everything that we preach and teach on my team is to drive results and give you flexibility and freedom, which leads to sustainability and lifestyle. Intuitive eating should always be the goal, but that will only come after mastering phases of tracking. Everything that we preach and teach on my team is to drive results, giving you flexibility and freedom, which leads to sustainability and lifestyle. The only way this will ever be sustainable for you is by mastering nutrition, which leads me to brutal truth number 13. Binge eating is rooted in restriction. You're on this endless cycle of I'm gonna be good this week, cutting out carbs, sugar, and all enjoyment out of life. But insert the weekend, social situations arise, you're hangry, you're miserable, your body's quite literally screaming at yourself. You put yourself in and around food, you can't control yourself, and you quite literally eat like an asshole. It's like 1 minute you're on track, the next minute you lose all self-control. Your all or nothing mindset is leading to your binging. Stop being so fucking restrictive. It is keeping you stuck, frustrated, and really confused. Fuel your body enough throughout the week. Educate yourself to understand how to fit in all the foods you love. Reduce your need to binge. Which leads me to brutal truth number 14. And I mean this with all the love in my heart, but your perfectionism is an excuse for procrastination. You keep convincing yourself that you're gonna start when your environment is 100% optimal, as if life isn't always lifing and things don't always come up. Your perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise. And let's be honest, this is rooted in fear. Fear of messing up, fear of failing, fear of not being good enough. But fear is a mile wide and it is an inch deep. Start now. Take messy action. I would rather you take messy action than no action. Which leads me to brutal truth number 15. There is no such thing as toned muscle. Toned equals muscle with a low enough body percent fat that you can see said muscle. You don't tone a muscle. It either grows or it shrinks. What you're really chasing is muscle growth and fat loss. Stop chasing the toned look and start chasing adding muscle to your frame. You can't tone something you don't have. Which leads me to brutal truth number 16. 1,200 calories is your motherfucking problem. It's not your solution. You think 1,200 calories a day is some badge of honor, but the reality is it's the exact reason you're hungry, you're moody, and you're not losing any weight. And sure, it may result in really quick weight loss, but weight loss and fat loss are two very different concepts. You're also losing muscle, slowing your metabolism down to a crawl, and setting yourself up for a big ass rebound when you start eating like a normal human being again. Not to mention the fact that you can't stay consistent. So yeah, you may be eating 1,200 calories multiple days in a row, which leads to your binge, throws you out of a calorie deficit, and this is exactly why you're always dieting with zero results to show for it. The real glow up is to be able to diet on as high as calories as possible, to be able to actually stay consistent, to be able to move your body in a way that feels good, to be able to train in a way that supports your goals. And newsflash, you're not a 2-year-old toddler. You're a thriving boss babe. Start fueling your body accordingly. Which leads me to brutal truth number 17. Clean eating is not a fucking strategy. It's not a plan. The reality is you can eat clean. You can eat healthy all week long, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not losing body fat. And where the hell did clean come from? Does that imply that I'm eating dirty? And don't twist what I'm saying. I love the idea of incorporating more whole foods, more protein, more fiber, but just eating clean doesn't automatically equate to fat loss. Fat loss requires strategy. You have to be in a calorie deficit, eating enough protein. So instead of hyperfixating on clean foods, hyperfixate on staying within your calorie deficit, eating enough protein. Which leads me to brutal truth number 18. Organic food is fucking stupid for fat loss. And please don't twist what I'm saying. I am all about food quality, but the reality is the organic cookie still has calories. So please don't fall victim to the hype, to the buzzwords, the 3 things that always drive your success: calories, protein, fiber, regardless if it's organic or not. Which leads me to brutal truth number 19. Walking, aka a consistent step count, will trump cardio any day of the week. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do cardio. It has its time and place. It's very person and dose dependent, and we need to utilize it as a tool, not a crutch. However, going back to brutal truth number one, your activity outside of the gym trumps your activity inside of the gym when we're talking calories burned. So the point here is to put more energy and effort towards the big rocks that are going to move our needle forward. Which leads me to brutal truth number 20. Menopause does not have to suck. It can be your new prime. You've been told that menopause automatically equals weight gain and feeling like rubbish. But fuck, please don't believe the hype. You are in complete and total control here. You're truly in the driver's seat. Menopause requires a plan. My babes are quite literally thriving. And with the right strategy, you can do the same. Optimize your hormones, master your nutrition, master your training, master your recovery. Which leads me to brutal truth number 21. Unfit people major in the minors. Simply put, you're focusing on the wrong things, tiny little details that don't move your needle forward, and ignoring the basics. Calories, protein, sleep, water, steps, strength training. Master them and you will never struggle again. Stop majoring in the minors. Focus on the big rocks. A calorie deficit, eating enough protein, lifting heavy shit. Wash, rinse, repeat. Which leads me to brutal truth number 22. Fad diets are a business. You keep jumping from one diet to the next, thinking the next one will magically work. But the reality is they were designed to keep you stuck. They want you losing the weight really freaking quickly. They want you riding the high that comes from losing that weight really freaking quickly. They know for a fact the metrics they gave you to lose said weight are so motherfucking unsustainable that you will land face first into the cheesecake. You will gain all of the weight back, plus the courtesy 10, 15, 20 pounds. And what's your first thought every single time this happens? Well, it worked the first time. I'm the problem. No, sorry, girlfriend. You are not the problem. Toxic diet, big box corporation is the problem. And I will go to my grave educating you because you deserve more. Let's be real. If that shit worked, you wouldn't be on your 5th round of Weight Watchers. I swear, Weight Watchers slogan should be Weight Watchers, helping you regain the weight for the last 60 plus years, no matter how many times we rebrand. You need a plan custom to you, working with a coach who truly understands the female body, metabolism, hormones. That's the game changer. Which leads me to brutal truth number 23. Because of fad diets, 80% of people who lose the weight gain it right back. Down regulation of metabolic, hormonal, and biofeedback markers make it damn near impossible to keep the weight off. Not to mention the unrealistic approach that you chose to lose the weight to begin with. I promise, the second you take an approach of giving your body what it needs to thrive to lose the weight, you will never go backwards again. Instead of thinking in subtraction, I want you to think in addition. More protein, more whole foods, more fiber. The secret to losing the weight and actually keeping it off is by cultivating values that are in alignment with the person you want to become. This is no longer just what you do to chase X, Y, or Z result. This has to become who you are. Which leads me to brutal truth number 24. Your metabolism isn't broken. It's slow. You've convinced yourself that your metabolism is broken. It's become your go-to excuse as to why you're not losing the weight. But here's the thing, your metabolism is not broken. It's down-regulated from years of crash dieting, under eating, and no muscle to your frame. But the best part of all of this is that you are in the driver's seat. We can rev that bad boy back up. We need to fuel your body correctly, eating enough protein, lifting heavy shit multiple times a week and putting it back down, prioritizing steps, walking, rest, recovery, wash, rinse, repeat. Which leads me to brutal truth number 25. You're not overweight, you're under-muscled. I guarantee you, if you could focus on getting stronger and adding muscle to your frame, fat loss would be a byproduct of that. You're desperate for that toned, shaped look, but you don't have enough muscle on your frame to support it. And if you have no muscle to your frame, even if you do lose the weight, you still look like a melted candlestick. And that's where this delusional idea comes in that if you just lose 5 more pounds, then you'll have a body that you love. And the reality is you don't need to lose 5 pounds, you need to add 5 pounds of muscle to your frame to look 10 pounds leaner. More muscle to your frame is gonna make fat loss 10 times easier, and it's gonna enable you to actually sustain those results. Which leads me to brutal truth number 26. The leaner you become, the more strategy that's required. The leaner you become, it becomes less about fat loss and more about actually changing the way that your body looks. And I'm sorry, but that toned look is never gonna come with just winging it. At this point, strategy matters. You need to dial in your nutrition, your training, your recovery. You need a plan truly custom to you. Generic cookie cutter bullshit is not going to cut it. Which leads me to brutal truth number 27. You're not in a plateau, you're just not consistent enough. You claim you're in a plateau, but deep down inside, you know that you're not doing the shit you need to do day in and day out to see success. This does not require us being perfect, but it does require us being really, really, really damn consistent. You're consistently hitting calories. You're hitting your calorie deficit. You're eating enough protein. You're eating enough fiber. You're getting in your steps. You're hitting your training sessions. You're prioritizing sleep, rest, recovery. And if you cannot tell me you're doing those things for certain 90% of the time, well, you're not in a plateau. Which leads me to harsh truth number 28. Eating enough protein is not hard. You are not prioritizing it. And if you're somebody who struggles with protein, I have more resources on protein than I know what to do with, which are completely free and linked in my bio. 8 ounces of chicken has 50 grams of protein. When we start prioritizing protein, it makes hitting that protein goal 10 times easier. Every single meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, needs to be protein focused. What is my protein source? And build around that. Which leads me to brutal truth number 29. You underestimate your calories and overestimate your protein. You're tracking your food, but somehow the results aren't matching up with your goals. We can't loosely track and expect to hit our goals. Fat loss requires 2 things, accuracy and consistency. If those 2 things are not there, you will flounder. You will fall flat on your face. Get really freaking open and honest with yourself. You need to be consistent and diligent with your tracking. Remember, tracking should not be a forever thing, but if fat loss is the end goal, we cannot manage what we cannot measure. Which leads me to hard truth number 30. A diet is a season. It's not a way of life. And this is 80+% of females who come to me for help. You cannot live in the diet. At some point, calories have to normalize. No wonder you're burnt the fuck out and you can't stay consistent. Your body's screaming at you, you have no energy, and it's quite literally sucking your soul. Fat loss requires strategy. There should be a start date, there should be an end date. And this is why so many are constantly dieting with 0 results to show for it. They have no fucking strategy. Which leads me to brutal truth number 31. This whole food is fuel is bullshit. Everyone says food is fuel, like it's just something mechanical, but that's not how real life works. Let's be honest, food is social, it's entertainment, it's enjoyment. I don't want to know a life without cookies or wine. You shouldn't either. Yes, food has a purpose and you should absolutely fuel your body correctly, but to try and take out the enjoyment aspect of it is absolutely asinine. Which leads me to harsh truth number 32. More is not better, better is better. 3 full body days a week will work wonders for us. You think you need to be in the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours a day to see results, and that's just not the fucking case. In reality, it's the training sessions that we can give 100% to that are the training sessions that move our needle forward. So if you're somebody who's in the gym 6, 7 days a week because you're in your own head, you're in your own ego, I'd be willing to bet you're giving me 60%, 70%. I need 100% to move our needle forward. Stop driving your body into the ground. Be strategic, have a plan. 3 full body sessions that are done correctly will absolutely get the job done. Which leads me to harsh truth number 33. Fat loss is 2 things. It is accuracy and it is consistency. If both of these things are not in check, you will flounder. You will fall flat on your face. You can't just eyeball portions and only do the damn thing when it's convenient for you. It's just not going to work out well in your favor. I hate to break it to you, but putting in 60% of the effort is not going to give you 100% of the results. If you want an A+ body, you cannot give me C- effort. Which leads me to harsh truth number 34. 90% of supplements are a fucking scam. There is no supplement on the market if your basics and your non-negotiables are not in check that will produce results for you. You're spending a fortune flushing your money down the drain, hoping for a magic pill that doesn't exist, which is just expensive hype with no real benefit, especially if you haven't mastered your basics and your non-negotiables. Some supplements that we recommend on my team, if basics and non-negotiables are in check, that will actually help with your fat loss efforts. A solid protein powder, creatine monohydrate, vitamin D plus K2, magnesium glycinate, especially for my menopause babes, as well as a solid multivitamin. It's a great way to fill in a lot of gaps. Which leads me to harsh truth number 35. Ice baths do not lead to fat loss. And truth be told, there's no amount of money that you could pay me to plunge myself in freezing fucking water. Sure, they have other benefits, especially pertaining to recovery. But if you're using it as a fat loss tool, well, you're just freezing your ass off and wasting your time. Which leads me to harsh truth number 36. Infrared saunas do not burn visceral fat. You've been told that infrared saunas can melt fat away, especially the dangerous visceral kind, meaning the fat around our organs. But there's no evidence to support this claim. Sure, you'll sweat, maybe you'll lose some water weight, but you're not burning fat. To help with reducing visceral fat, we need to master lifestyle, nutrition, training, and optimize your thyroid. Which leads me to harsh truth number 37. Technology is fucking your sleep. You're glued to your phone at night, scrolling TikTok and wondering why you can't fall asleep. All that blue light is messing with your brain's ability to wind down. Lack of sleep directly affects your hunger hormones and ability to lose weight. Think about it. If you're exhausted AF, do you think your body's gonna want to show up to do the damn thing? Probably not. Sleep is quite literally a fat loss secret weapon. Cut the technology and prioritize the fuck out of it. Which leads me to harsh truth number 38. You are not broken. Your strategy is. You think something's wrong with your body because the weight isn't coming off no matter what you try. But your body's not broken. It's the bullshit education you've been fed about how weight loss really works. This is where a coach who truly understands the female body, metabolism, hormones comes in clutch. Stop falling victim to the nonsense. Mastering the basics, while they may not be sexy or glamorous, are going to drive your success. Once you do that, you'll see what your body's truly capable of. You can come back and thank me later. Which leads me to harsh truth number 39. Train to failure in an 8 to 15 rep range. You're lifting weights, but you're seeing zero, zilch, not a result. And it's because you're truly not taking muscle to failure. And there is a big difference between this is really hard and true failure. And if you are not taking muscle to failure, you simply won't see the progress you want to see. A good rule of thumb is the last 2 reps of whatever it is that you're training need to be a struggle. They need to challenge you. Track your training to ensure that you're applying progressive overload week over week. That's where the real results happen. Which leads me to last but not least, harsh truth number 40. None of this fucking matters if you cannot master your nutrition. I'm talking losing the weight, keeping it off, feeling fucking fire, and living a lifestyle where you're in complete and total control. Mastering your nutrition means mastering this. We need to put the reps in. You need to give it time. You need education. You've grown up to believe that food is the enemy, and that could not be farther from the truth until you realize that food is quite literally the catalyst and vehicle to get you where you want to go. You will continue to stay stuck. You need to be in the driver's seat. We need to get you to a place where you control food and food no longer controls you. That is where the real change happens. Well, that's a wrap. But if you're somebody who's going through menopause, implementing these things, and you're still struggling, check out the video below.